Welcome to the third session of our Slum Survivor resource. My name's Simon and I'm part of the team that helps deliver Soul Action. And this week we're going to be looking at why do we bother serving the poor? It seems to me that we live in a world that is both self-seeking and based around our own comfort. Let me explain that to you. You go to school, you get an education so that you can get a good job, so that you can earn enough money, so that you can buy the things that you want to buy, that you can live where you want to live, that you can have a nice car and nice clothes, that everything focuses around us, around me, around self. And as long as it makes us more comfortable, then it's okay. As long as I get more out of it, then it's okay. And that seems to be the culture and focus of the world that we live in. As long as I do me and you do you and we all look after ourselves, then everything's going to be all right, isn't it? Well, the short answer is that no, it's not going to be okay. We live in a world of extreme disparity, where the wealthiest few are getting increasingly rich and the poorest people are not moving up the ladder at all, where the richest people in the world, and frankly that probably includes me and you, are getting richer and the poor seem to be getting poorer. I've been fortunate enough to spend a few days in Durban, South Africa, visiting a few different projects, seeing some people who are on the ground serving some of the poorest people in this part of the world. We went to an informal settlement. It was literally just off the side of this main road. We parked up under a tree and you look down and there are just mud huts. There was one building, one proper building that was their church that they'd built together, but the rest of them were just tin shacks with mud walls. This was literally the poorest place I'd ever seen. I'm not sure there's anything that can prepare you for it, and honestly, it was such a shock. It was like this blow to me, that people had to live in these conditions. The guy who took us there, Mahindra, had worked in and around the area for 23 years, building relationship with the people that he was looking to serve as he followed Jesus. He introduced us to Joseph, the village chief, who showed us around. He introduced us to some of the kids who lived there, and they showed us where they played. It was a really hot day. They took us down this steep bank down to where they played in the water, in this stream at the bottom. It was the place they did washing. It was the place they got some of their water. It was also the place where some of their effluent, their waste, their urine trickled down the hill into this river. We went into one of the homes and it was dark and it was tiny and it was hot and it was all that they had, and it was maybe a 2 by 2 meter box. And my heart broke in that place and also swelled with pride at seeing Mahindra serving the people that he desperately loved. Later on that day, we took Mahindra out for lunch. We went to the local shopping centre. It's called Gateway, and it is this vast place. Shop after shop after shop. It takes like 20 minutes to walk the whole thing. And this sudden clash of these two worlds of incredibly poor and incredibly wealthy hit me. And I sat at that table just churning inside, not quite sure how to process it. And in that half-day microcosm was a reflection of the world that we live in, of a world where there is incredible wealth, of lots of people who can buy the things that they want to buy and drive nice cars, alongside, right next to, in the face of real, genuine depth of poverty. And I don't know if you've ever plunked away on a piano and just hit like awful notes, those chords that just don't fit, those notes that don't fit together. That's what it felt like inside of me, this clash of worlds that shouldn't exist alongside one another. This village is a picture of the reality of the world in which millions of people live. Not one that I'm intimately familiar with, but one that I long to see changed. And I sat there with this turmoil going on in me, and I started to ask questions. God, how is this fair? God, why are you not doing more? God, where are you in this? God, why won't this change? And I just felt this gentle whisper saying, Simon, it can change, and you're the answer. Not that I'm going to solve world poverty on my own. Not that I'm necessarily going to affect the lives of the people that we met in Joseph's village, but that if I do something to start to combat and fight poverty, then small things will change. And that if you join in, if that we do this together, if you and me and everyone joins in, that this world can change, that poverty can be ended. There's this amazing passage in Matthew 25. In my Bible, it's entitled The Sheep and the Goats. And Jesus is talking about the end times, that day when we'll see him face to face. And he says what happens is he's going to separate it into the sheep and the goats. He's going to separate it into the people who served the poor and those people who didn't. And he'll say to them, you did the things to the least of these, and that was you doing it to me. What we do for the least of these, we do for Jesus. Read the passage and place yourself in it. Where do you want to be? Do you want to be a sheep who follows along in the footsteps of its master, who stays close to the shepherd? Or do you want to be a goat who in this passage is described as someone who follows the religion but doesn't actually live out the relationship of following the shepherd? I don't know about you, but I am desperate to be someone who stays close to Jesus. And I think reading the Bible, that means going to the places where there is extreme poverty, going to the places where there is massive need and starting to meet some of those needs. I think it means going into Joseph's village and hanging out with him and getting to know him and building relationship with him so that he isn't a project, but he's a person and a friend, and that you get involved in their lives and you find what their needs are because they tell you, not because you parachute in with your great ideas, but that you get alongside the last, the least and the lost, and that you walk this life with them. And so why do we serve the poor? Well, for a whole load of reasons. Because they too are people made in the image of God, and that he desperately, passionately, relentlessly loves them. Because we who, because of where we were born, are the very, very fortunate. With great privilege comes great responsibility. But also because the command of Jesus is this, to love your neighbour as you love yourself. And so to follow Jesus means not only to look at our own lives, but in fact means to look at those around us and to serve them with everything that we have. To follow in his footsteps and to go to the places where no one else is going to go. To give with our money, to give with our time, to give of our very lives in the pursuit of seeing people come to know him, in the pursuit of seeing people set free from the grip of poverty, of pursuing an intimate relationship with him. We follow closely alongside, we chase after him as we serve the poor, as we go to the last, the least and the lost.